All right, I am here with 𝗧𝗦𝗛 from the Mining Stacker YouTube channel, a fellow mining YouTube content creator here on the platform. 𝗧𝗦𝗛, thank you so much for joining me. And today, essentially, I've brought you on here because you are in a very similar situation as I am, and as probably a lot of people viewing this video are as well, which is power price has recently done a massive skyrocketing up, as well as profitability for mining in general is kind of down in the dumps right now. So I just wanted to really invite you on here and kind of talk, like have you talked through your situation and kind of your perspective on the whole thing. Also want to start this video off by saying, everyone, please go check out his channel after this video. I'll link it down in the video description, as well as some of his kind of recent favorite videos of mine that I think cover some really interesting stuff. If you like my channel, you will definitely really like his. So, but hey, with that out of the way, 𝗧𝗦𝗛, please just, if you don't mind, like talking us through your situation with what's going on recently.
First off, Seb, thanks for having me. And yes, I do 100% agree. Times are extremely rough right now, not only in the crypto market as a whole, but specifically for us miners. It's arguably kind of the worst that it's been. And for me personally, did have a double whammy in that on top of current market conditions, I went from a 10-cent electric rate all the way up to 14 cents, which doesn't sound like a whole lot, but that was definitely a game changer to the point where things, instead of being break even or better, are now unprofitable for me, especially for my personal farm, which comprises primarily of these big boy ASICs, which because of the current market are all unplugged. Currently, the only other things I have going, been lately getting into some of these little at-home ASICs, and for the most part, that's pretty much all I have plugged in, right? Again, market is extremely rough right now.
Yeah, 100%. That's, and actually, I was going to ask you, but you already told us there. So you're more or less all shut off at this moment. If you don't mind, like talking us through, like what because you mentioned your big boy ASICs there. So what do you more like specifically have in your farm at this moment?
So currently on the heavy ASIC side, big on Caspa ASIC. So I currently have a KS5 Pro, KS5L, KS3M, as well as a CKB ASIC, the K7, a Kadena ASIC, the KA3, a Handshake ASIC, the HS3, as well as a 10-card GPU rig, and a bunch of different little deep-in devices.
Cool. And you've made the decision to turn off because if I I do follow your channel, and from what I understand, you're very much of like, don't mine at a loss, keep it like you are kind of set up in a way where you mine when it's profitable, but when it's not, then you shut off and you buy the coin instead. Now, that's something I wanted to touch on a little bit with you actually, because I think many people are in that situation where that is very much something to do. For me personally, like running my mining as a business and stuff, it doesn't really work out the same for me, because like with mining, I can expense the hardware, expense the electric, all of that. But if I want to purchase crypto, it ends up being like, well, I have to first pay myself out of my mining business, which I'm then hit by like a tax bill, essentially like salary tax, right? So then, and you know, because of where I live, that's like 50% tax. So then I'm ending up with like half the amount of money to then purchase the crypto. And I'm just really, I'm interested a little bit in like, maybe your mentality about purchasing versus mining, and if you mind sharing kind of like how you are set up in that regard.
So I also do definitely run mine as a business, but my overall biggest strategy is to not mine at a loss. So realistically, what I'm looking for is break even or better, just because I do mine and hodl everything that I'm mining. So for me, whether I'm making 5 cents a day or 10 bucks a day, it's kind of all the same because I'm waiting for that future price appreciation to come down the line in the future. Now, as far as unplugging goes, it not only needs to be a more significant loss, because again, if I'm only losing 5 cents, 10 cents a day, I wouldn't consider that a loss, right? It has to be something significant, and it has to be something over a longer period of time, right? I'm not going to be looking at this thing daily and saying, okay, I'm profitable today and then not tomorrow. No, it's going to be on a longer time basis. So for example, it'll be on a monthly basis. If I think it's going to be in that range or potentially worse just because of current market, I'm going to be unplugging and it'll be for that entire month. Now, again, for me, it needs to be something significant. To give you a good example, my K7 currently is losing at my new electric rate now, is losing almost $4 a day. At that point, that is definitely significant. That is definitely at a point where I will be unplugged. And it's kind of currently the case with the majority of my big boy ASICs. So just because I'm unplugged though, doesn't mean I'm not going to be stacking. My overall strategy, again, I mine and hodl, is I have 3 30 amp circuits that are essentially maxed out, and I pay that out of pocket, right? So if I'm currently going to be unplugged, doesn't mean I'm not going to stack. It just means that money that I would be using to pay the electric company, I'm now going to be using to buy the coins directly for that period. Okay, so that's kind of been my game plan and strategy pretty much this whole time. And it's going to be up to that individual time frame to decide what I do with it, right? Do I buy the same coins I would be mining? Do I start new positions? Do I look at other things? That's where it kind of gets a little bit different every month. And that's why I just kind of an open book, right? I try to look for different revenue streams specifically, especially now because those ASICs are off. So like a great example is a lot of these proof of stake coins. And a lot of you guys don't like those. But for example, for me, Solana, AVAX, a lot of these guys have been game changers because of the percentage of yield we get every couple of days just from staking those coins natively in their native wallets, right? That has been a game changer for me and just brings in continued revenue, especially Solana, right? That's one that we got our position a few years ago. At the time, it wasn't necessarily making a whole lot in terms of fiat. It was in terms of Solana. Now that it's appreciated so much, though, definitely is nice to have that continued revenue stream. And that's something you kind of got to think about. You got to have different revenue streams coming in. So in case where there's times like this where I'm unplugged, I'm still able to get revenue coming in order to hit my monthly targets, right? Every month I have goals, I have targets I want to hit, and that kind of just helps me to get there.
Amazing. And I think that's a fantastic kind of mindset and a way of just going into it. And I mean, obviously with Solana, that has worked out really well for you. So I mean, I'm assuming just looking at Solana's price graph for these like past few years. If you don't mind me asking, like what is your plan kind of going forward, just more specifically in terms of your mining farm? So you've unplugged now. Are you kind of just waiting for profitability to come back? Are you looking into, swapping out some hardware? Are you looking into kind of like roundabout ways of getting cheaper electricity? Where's your head at with all of those things?
So currently the mindset is definitely going to be wait for profitability to come back, just because current market values aren't going to be too great. So ideally, I want to wait for that nice pump that we get, not necessarily just like a little blow off top, but more sustained profitability. Because then at that point, it does give me more options and decide what I'm going to do. Most of my farm is on the old side, right? So for me, realistically, the ideal situation is for profitability to come back, where it's more sustained and potentially sell some of them, or realistically, almost all of them, right? The only one realistically I was going to probably hold for the majority of the bull run was going to be the KS5 Pro. We're going to kind of have to wait and see and just kind of wait for that price appreciation to happen, if it happens, when it happens, and kind of go from there, right? Because there's only a couple options. One is to sell at some point or just mine with these things until the wheels fall off, right? And I'm going to kind of have to just wait for when that price appreciation does kind of happen, and that way I can kind of make up my mind from there, right? So realistically, definitely waiting for that price appreciation and still not fully confirmed as what I'm going to do. The overall goal is definitely to sell them, but gonna have to wait and see when that pump comes. As far as timing goes, is it not going to happen until towards the end of this bull market? Is it going to happen early? Gonna have to wait and see on that.
And as in terms of your electric price, are you looking into options there, looking at hosting, solar, what have you?
So going forward from here, hosting is definitely going to be in my future, right? Realistically, trying to have these massive ASICs at a 14, 15 cent kilowatt hour is not the business, right? That is not going to be very profitable. Although things may look better here in the next coming months if the bull market does end up happening, we all know that the real revenue is made in the bear market, and in the bear market, efficiency, low power is definitely going to be king. So for me, definitely going to be doing that in the future. And as far as for now, like why am I not hosting now with this new electric rate? It's because most of mine I'm going to be planning on selling here in the short term, right? Realistically, I'm going to be hosting. Typically with a lot of these providers, you're going to be signing a more longer term deal. You're going to be signing a 12, 18, 24 month contract and going from there. And that's how you kind of take advantage. So for me personally, all of mine are kind of on the chopping block, just essentially waiting for that profitability to pick up for me to offload anyway. If I were to purchase any though, again, anything I'm purchasing now, it's to kind of take advantage beyond this bull market. But if I were to purchase anything now, then definitely, because it would be a long-term thing, I would be looking at getting that hosted for sure. Just because currently, again, these little 100-watt things, not that big of a deal. But once it gets to the point where these 3,500 watts ASICs, your electric rate, your efficiency is going to be a big deal. And that's going to be the difference between making actual revenue, being at a loss. And that's why at that point, for any of those big boy units, again, anything like 3,500 watts is 100% in the future going to be hosted for me.
Yeah. I mean, believe you me, because I've been on what is your new high was my old low for the past like 3 years. So I definitely feel your pain there. And if you're, for, you know, the people wondering, if you're wondering why I don't have like 10 ASICs running at home, is because like just the like, even if they were profitable, just the sheer amount of money you had to throw at the power company every month to run that, like I don't have that kind of money, you know, like paying 14, 15 cents per kilowatt hour, you can't sustain it because it's just so much money to pay for electricity. Now, I would really love to pick your brain in terms of just like tips and thoughts you might have for people going through similar things as you and me with power prices going up. So I say let's get right into that after a quick word from this video's sponsor. My personal strategy in mining is to have a diverse farm. A big part of that is having ASIC miners for multiple different algorithms. Not only does that mean less risk as you're not putting all eggs in one basket, but you're also exposed to the profitability of multiple different coins, which could be very advantageous. And with that in mind, Dogecoin miners are always on my radar as they let you merge mine multiple coins without using extra power, with more mining rewards from new coins being added regularly. The DG Home 1 is probably the best bet there for something silent, suitable for mining at home, which also runs on 120 volts. However, in terms of full-size ASICs, I'm currently looking at the DG1 Plus from AlphaPex, because I think that probably offers the best balance between power efficiency and value for money currently. But where can you get these miners from? Well, why not check out this video's sponsor, Coin Mining Central, which is an online store for ASIC miners with an over 6-year track record of overwhelmingly positive customer reviews. They have all the latest and most profitable miners, from silent home miners to full-size ASICs. They can even provide immersion cooling systems and offer great bulk pricing on ASICs. Based in the UK, Coin Mining Central prioritizes great customer support, strict personal detail protection, and free worldwide shipping on all miners with no additional payment fees at checkout. You can also utilize their loyalty and referral programs to save on your next purchase. Plus, use my link down in the video description and code 𝗧 at checkout for a roughly $130 discount on every miner in your order priced over £1,000. So if you've been wanting to get some ASIC miners, check out that link below together with the code to save on your purchase. All right, Moda, again, thanks for joining me, and I would love to just hear what kind of tips do you have for people who might be in a similar situation with power prices going up and with profitability kind of being down in the dumps in terms of mining at the moment?
I think the biggest thing for me that I would recommend to people is just kind of preparing for this possibility, preparing for different scenarios. Because I mean, it's something that we figured was going to be inevitable. That's why we kind of did have preparations in place and kind of mindsets in place, right? I think overall, just being ready for anything. That way, when it does happen, if it does happen, you kind of know what to do. Like, for example, for me, I have that threshold as far as being profitable, not profitable, knowing when to unplug for what period of time, and then what to do from that point. And then if it's sustain for a long period of time? Would it do it at that point? Am I going to consider hosting? Which hosting providers would I be looking at? What is the electric rate I would be looking at? Just kind of having all those scenarios so that way, if and when they do happen, you're not caught off guard. You're not that person who's going to sell your ASIC at a massive loss on eBay because you panic sold. You have to be ready for these things. You have to kind of plan for these things. It's like we've kind of talked about in the video, electric prices kind of only go up, right? So hopefully for some of you guys, it's not as extreme as my increase, but you kind of got to be ready for these things, right? So depending on what you want to do, so that doesn't mean ASIC mining is over for me. I will still be dabbling into these little home ASICs. And if I do get any future big boy units in the future, they're definitely going to be hosted, right? Just to take advantage of a much cheaper electric rate. The other big thing I would recommend is consider diversifying, right? And not just coins that you're allocating, but different revenue streams. Like for example, for me, I'm huge into DPIN, right? It's like Geo currently is one of my best performers. Something that only uses about 3 watts and brings in about $8 in revenue per day. So it kind of gets me through these tough times with between the GeoNet, all of my helium devices, my Demo, Hive Mapper, Natix, etc., etc., etc. All those things are different revenue streams that I kind of want to get going just specifically for these bad times, right? Where if I did have to unplug, which I did now, I still have constant revenue streams coming in, and even things like proof of stake coins. I know a lot of you guys don't like those again, but that has been a massive game changer for me because again, it's another form of a revenue stream that continues to stack coins. Again, my overall goal throughout all of this is to continually stack coins by whatever means necessary, right? Whether it's buying coins, mining the coins through DPIN devices, through staking, through DeFi, whatever it is, the end goal is to continue to have these revenue streams just in case one kind of falls off or one isn't so popular. That way it's just continued income always coming in, and we're continuing to stack these coins.
Fantastic. 𝗦𝗧, thank you so much for joining me here again. And what I'll do is on the screen, if YouTube will let me, I'll put your video of you just talking through kind of your situation in more detail, as well as your game over video that you put up a week back or so, because I really enjoyed that one. So, and I think my viewers will as well. But I guess that's it. Thank you for joining me, and thank you guys for watching.
Thanks for having me again, Seb. It's been a pleasure.